Drag and Drive News, your source for news and entertainment in the drag and drive community. On this week's episode, we talk to the team members of Miles of Mayhem. We have some mechanical drama with Bill Spangler's FUB Ford Fairmont. We talk to Mike Lough Racing Engines and Ryan Mueller at Mueller Performance. We have a big announcement for the Hustlin Horsepower team. We have sick Shootout updates. And of course, the Built for Drag and Drive, brought to you by our friends at Sweet Patina. Let's start by congratulating the Hustlin Horsepower crew, Nick and Lady Gangster. Congratulations, you guys. A new baby will be born into the racing community December of 2022. And now for everybody's favorite segment, Built for Drag and Drive, brought to you by our friends at Sweet Patina. With the TKO hand cleaning wipes, make sure your hands are clean while working on these cars. Let's revisit some cars that we have discussed earlier. Paulie Castiglione's Challenger, the block is good, the crank was not, sadly. So he has a new 440 Source crank on its way, and also in transit is a set of Cali's Ultra Duty I-beam rods. Red Hat Scotty, the rear axle is in Plan B Mustang. It actually went in without a hassle after that car has fought them on every single bit. And one of our Miles of Mayhem competitors, David Sidden, his full feature was last week, said he had a great day testing and tuning over the weekend at Thunder Mountain Raceway. The track is an 1/8 mile and is over 4,000 feet in elevation, so cars run a little slower there. I fixed the high RPM miss and sorted out launching off the trans brake. The car got consistently quicker throughout the day and ran a best of 834 at over 80 miles an hour. We have two features this week. Darcy Hanlon in the Cole Stang is up first. This crazy Cummins swapped Fox body is as budget as you can get. You can find a full build on his YouTube and Instagram under the same name, Cole Stang, again COALSTANG, and I've linked those down below. The car takes budget to the next level. When he purchased a car for $1,000, turned around, sold the engine and transmission a few days later for $850, purchased a 94 12-valve donor truck for $1,500, sold the body for $950, and the stereo a few weeks later for $300. He says the initial build was quick, nothing fancy, just stuffed it in there, meaning the 12-valve, as fast and as cheap as possible. That's why I first chose to do non-intercooled, less fabrication, less weight. I didn't even run a fan or alternator for the first few months he drove it. He'd charge the battery to run the heater or headlights if he needed those, saying the battery would last about 3 days. He adds, to go fast on a budget, the magic is being lightweight. It's easier on parts, and I don't need as much horsepower. The car has been 10.6 at 136 miles an hour. Car currently makes 650 wheel on 57 pounds of boost and 175 shot of nitrous. Darcy's limited to a 640 because of safety and says with the new trans brake, he should be able to run that easily. Most of the cars built with hand-me-downs and used parts. Power-driven diesel provided a billet input shaft that they had twisted in a 1,500 plus horsepower truck. Works perfectly in his car because his car is right at 3,000 pounds. He ended our conversation by saying that he wanted to give a huge shout out to his cousin Dean and Dean's son Eric Branham for helping put the car together, Team Z and Power Driven Diesel for parts and advice. And when he built the car, I thought it would be really cool because this 12 valve can drive right across North America and not break a sweat. He ended the 2021 Miles of Mayhem event with an average of a 7.5590. So more than a second faster this year. So that would be exciting to watch. Our second Miles of Mayhem car this week is Tony Buchert in the 53 Bel Air. Miles of Mayhem will be the third drag and drive event for the car and Tony's fifth event overall. He said he's owned the car since 2019 and had it out for the first time in 2020. When I asked why he built that car, he replied, I chose the car because I have always loved the Bel Air family of cars and because it's something that not everybody builds, mostly because it's heavy and most don't want a four-door, which he loves more for his family. That's what I love too. I love four-door cars because you can get everybody in them. Powertrain is a LS engine with a 98-103 precision and a power glide back in it with a gear vendor overdrive for all the highway miles. Suspension in the front is a bolt-in Mustang 2 clip, and in the rear he has a Calvert split monoleaf and Caltrack bars. He's still deciding on what class to run, thinking of running the 580 index class, but a part of him wants to let it loose and try for low fives all week. He wants to give a shout out to his wife and kids, his old man Jake, Keith, and Brazier Racing and Machine. Now, 2021's event for Tony, he ended with an average of 6:0050. So that's pretty awesome. He is actually number 14 on the 2021 8th Mile Racer list. All right, guys, as we lead into the busiest next few weeks of the Drag and Drive season, you guys have got to get out and get your merch. Make sure when you show up to the tracks for Race Week or Drag Week or One Guy's Garage or Carolina Drag Cruise or Street and Yeet, if you haven't done it yet, swing by the website, draganddrive.com, and pick up your Drag and Drive Addiction merch. Show your enthusiasm for your hobby at any local event or, just like me, your regular daily job. Currently, we are running a special with free shipping on every order. All right, guys, I just want to let you know I am working on the updates from Rocky Mountain Race Week to add to the lists for the all-time Rocky Mountain Race Week stats. Listen, there are some big changes to the fastest 100 all-time Rocky Mountain Race Week list, but first I want to talk about the newcomers and congratulate them. To the list, number 32, Tom Franks. Number 34, Jason King. Number 39, Sandon Slaubaugh. Number 41, Nick Lawson. Number 82, Stephen Willingham, who's been on there before but was bumped and is back on now with his finish. Number 84, George Siciliano. Number 85, Matt Moore. And number 100, holding down the last spot, Lang Job with his 9.6563. I will tell you guys, your numbers will change once race week happens here in 37 days. All right, so congratulations to all the newcomers, but guys, there is a huge jump on the fastest 100 list. Peyton Bullock, oh my gosh, bro, give yourself a pat on the back. Moved up 42 spots from 97th to 55th place. Insanity with his Rocky Mountain Race Week finish. Cletus moved from 17th to 4th. Jason Hurley in the Firebird. Again, first time that car had been out. You can see it on the Meltdown Firebird on Facebook. Jason Hurley moved from 16th to 5th place. And Robert Williams moved up one spot from 52nd to 51st. You can find all these lists and everything on draganddrive.com. And while you're there, jump over to the shop, pick up some of the merch. And as you heard last week, I am now an ambassador for the National Get Out and Drive Day, October 2nd, 2022. Join car guys and girls across the country getting out in their cars to support local businesses and enjoy the hobby. The Get Out and Drive podcast established the National Get Out and Drive Day to encourage everyone to hit the road, enjoy your co-pilots, and see the sights. Cars and driving are part of the road trip of our lives. We must preserve this tradition, so take the day to get out and drive and capture the adventure on the open road. If you can't get out and drive, make sure to break out the Hot Wheels, watch an old classic car movie, play with the RC cars, attend a car show, do something car related for that day. Make sure you use the hashtags DriveDay2022, what drives you, and Get Out and Drive. For more information, go to getoutanddrive.com. After last week's episode, I reached out to a few engine builder friends to see how they're shaping up and how they're handling the parts shortages issues. Ryan Mueller of Mueller Performance said, one thing that has been a challenge but ended up being a silver lining is valves. We all know the best answer for big power, high RPM LS engines is for titanium intake valves. But for a large majority of the LS crowd, it is not in the budget to swing titanium cost. The problem with stainless valves is there are just not a lot of options in the severe duty category that have the proper margin thickness, material grade, etc. to handle the extreme demands of today's engines. So he reached out to a couple of his suppliers and asked if they could make what he views as the toughest stainless valves available with margin thickness, dimensions, etc. Long story short, this ended up being the best thing I could have done, as it made a reliable valve at half the cost. The ultimate test they have been put through so far was one of my customers in Georgia put 62 pounds of boost on them, 30 passes, and still running solid. Now, would he recommend those valves for that much boost? Never. But nonetheless, it was an ultimate test that gives my full confidence in the newfound affordable solution. So without the part struggles, he wouldn't have brought those into existence. Mike Lough of Mike Lough Racing Engine said, we're spending any profits we make on parts that are available to try to stay ahead and keep them on the shelf here for builds that we know will be coming. He said, I am direct with all manufacturers, Dart, Callie's, Brodix, Manley, Wiseco, etc., and deal with them as much as possible. But in times like this, we have even had to buy parts from parts warehouses, and in some cases, even had to go to Amazon and eBay just because someone on there had something we needed. There are many parts that are not available anywhere and take up to a year and a half to get. If people want exotic builds, they have to wait with no ETA on it. That is absolutely insane. And I'm going to do, Mike, way to go, dude, to take the profits out of your business and buy parts that you know are available then. In the intro, I mentioned about Bill Spangler and the FUB Ford Fairmont, the FUB, the Ford under beautification. If you followed our coverage during Midwest Drags, you saw his big block Ford powered Fairmont leading the class for Street Machine Eliminator. Sadly, on day two's drive, Bill and Joe driving along in the Fairmont heard a clatter. Bill thought it was a rocker arm. Turns out it was the rocker arm stud that bolts down into the engine. The big block heads, big block Ford heads, were a Super Cobra jet set that had been worked and apparently had been helicoiled at one point in their life. So unfortunately, that helicoil gave up and broke the rocker stud. So Bill is coming back. Midwest Drags 2023 SME, you are on notice. He has purchased John Kazi heads, some SR71 heads from Charlie Evans that Charlie Evans has worked and is working Bill's intake right now to gasket match everything. Bill says he should pick up an easy 50 horsepower, maybe a little more, which means he'll be able to turn it down even more to keep those 10-0 runs coming. While we're on the subject of broken parts, I don't know if you guys have seen it or not, but the Steve Morris SMX engine in the Boostmaster completely destroyed itself last weekend at Martin, Michigan at the 6 Shootout. Insane. It completely destroyed every rod in the engine. He said it's the worst engine catastrophe he has ever seen on anything like that, which is pretty wild considering the amount of engines and level of builds that Steve Morris handles. It's pretty crazy. I've got some pictures here you guys are seeing. It absolutely insane. If you haven't watched that video yet, I highly recommend it. He has also put out a new video that is explaining what he feels like happens and answering some of the questions from the comments. All right, guys, let's talk event updates, day counts. I know this is what you guys are most concerned with. 16 days to Miles of Mayhem. Oh, it's exciting. 37 days until Race Week or Rocky Mountain Race Week 2.0. 51 days until Hot Rod Drag Week and 56 days until One Guy's Garage Drag Weekend. Let's talk about the sick shootout that happened over the weekend, because there were a lot of drag and drive guys there, because that is one of the rules that Tom has in place to attend these events, is you have to have competed in a drag and drive event to compete in these sick shootouts. The second sick shootout was held this past weekend at Martin, Michigan. The one thing I like about these is they help kind of bridge the gap between events and obviously are a great way to see your race car friends. That's one of the biggest reasons I think they are doing that. Martin, Michigan proved to be a very fast track. A lot of folks ran personal bests. It was absolutely insane. Let's start off with the fastest of the weekend, though. The Schroeder Ends team, good glory almighty, 412. All this was 8th Mile Racing, sorry. 412. Guys, that's insanity. You can watch all the videos at Tom Bailey's YouTube channel. Steve Morris ran a 433 with a 2. Scott Kleppinger ran a 519 with a 5 in the 8th. And then they let him run quarter mile on the last day, and he ran an 8:06.82. Jason Sack in the Cowboy Up Nova with a 461. Tom McGilton ran a 485 in the Why Not Camaro. Tom Bailey in 6 seconds 2.0 ran a 435. And then first gen Camaro, I can't remember the guy's name, 456. And Tim Flanders with a 524. Guys, that's some fast stuff. And I think this is probably Hot Rod Drag Week test sessions for Bailey and definitely for Schroeder. And I would hope for Steve Morris. There is a small tire 6 shootout coming up this weekend at Virginia Motorsports Park with the PDRA, the 30th, I guess, which is what you're watching today, and the 31st. Entries are Rick Steinke in the Honk If Parts Fall Off car, JP Franks, Dave Workman, Chuck Zeke, Azim Sheik, John Mankia, Brian Anders in that little yellow Chevette. I love that car. And David Fontaine. Guys, good luck this weekend. I hope you guys do well. I hope you run some super fast times. And small tire, I love small tire racing. All right, let's move to the event that is in 37 days, Race Week, or Rocky Mountain Race Week 2.0. All tracks are set. Schedule is set. September 4th, we're all going to be tech and racing at Thunder Valley Raceway Park in Oklahoma City. Day 2's at Texas Motorplex again. Here's what I will warn you of. Do not go to the hotel first, even though you are hot and sweaty. Go ahead and go to the track and make your first pass. Day 3 is back to Tulsa. Day 4 is going to be interesting because it is in Tulsa again, because the track for day 3 closed unexpectedly. The cool part about that, I think, is going to be the route that Matt will take us on day 4, because if you're racing day 3 at Tulsa, he's still going to put us through our paces and get us to drive around. Day 5 returns to Oklahoma City, and they are hosting a shootout like they did with 1.0. Guys, the fastest cars duke it out. They've split the prize money between Drag and Drive event and the shootout money. If you want more details, go to RockyMountainRaceweek.com. And if you haven't done it yet, join the RMRW ERS page, Rocky Mountain Race Weekers page, for full details. And if you're attending this event, you've got to get in there so you can get to know all of your race car friends. All right, guys, we talked about the Skeet and Yeet. It's actually called the Southeast Skeet and Yeet. From Devin Vanderhoof and a few friends. To see more information on class rules and things like that, go to SEStreetYeet.com. That'll kind of give you the information there. 100 car limited. They are not opening registration yet, but it is coming very soon. 4 tracks, 4 days, 400 miles. All right, guys, the event starts November 10th at Shady Side Dragway in Shelby, North Carolina, then goes to Union County Dragway in Union, South Carolina, House of Hook for day 3 at the Carolina Dragway in Aiken, South Carolina, and then returns on November 13th to Shady Side Dragway. I'm so excited for you guys to hang out with us, Dustin and Josie from Miles of Mayhem. We're 17 days away, right?
17 days.
17.
Yeah.
Oh, it is absolutely crazy. I am going to get my passport because I'm coming up for one of these, I'm telling you.
Perfect. We're trying to get more of you guys to come up.
Man, I'm telling you, it looks like it is a ton of fun. And the folks I have been talking to for the Built for Drag and Drive segment, the cars that you guys have this year are going to be nuts.
Yeah, it's looking like guys are stepping it up. And now that we have it in Canada, guys are building cars just for the event now. So it's definitely opening up a new kind of builds around here.
Yeah, and then you guys are what I would consider more Western Canada, right? Which I hope brings a lot of the Western, Northwestern folks from the U.S. up to you guys to attend the event.
Yeah, we got a few this year from Montana, Washington area coming in, it looks like. So definitely got a few growing that way.
That's awesome. Well, tell us why you started Miles of Mayhem, and then have you ever attended a Drag and Drive before then?
So we never attended one before. For starting it, just
Started at Christmas.
Christmas, sitting around laughing about it, thinking that's a good idea to actually happen and we needed it in Canada. A lot of guys not able to go down south. So just to bring it to Canada it's been a good trek so far.
Well, and you guys took a swing and started with 100 cars. I mean, talk about putting a big event together right out of the gate. And then you've increased it this year. There's 160 cars this year.
Yeah, 160 this year. We got probably 50 on the wait list. So it grew faster than we ever imagined.
Oh.
Tell us, what was it like to sell out in 2 hours? I mean, that's absolutely crazy.
It was quite the feeling, you know,
it
that
was.
it grew that fast and just that much. Like the feedback must have been good to sell out that fast from last year. So
Yeah. And then how do you guys handle registration? Because you have 70 people coming back. Was it like, some other folks doing early registration for people that attended the year before?
we did
That
give
kinda
early
hated?
registration to the competitors from last year. Without them, we wouldn't be doing it a second year. So we had about 70 return from last year, and then
That's
the other
awesome.
90 sold out real fast.
I can imagine. And that's really cool for all the new folks, because obviously they're going to be able to, I would think, pair up with people that have done it before and convoy with them and kind of get to know the lay of the event.
Yeah, exactly. Get in with some experienced guys makes the trip a lot easier.
How big is the team that puts on Miles of Mayhem? Is it just you guys?
For the most part, the two of us, yeah. Josie and I handle it all. We have one girl that helps us on the internet stuff a bit, and then really my mom and dad help out, my brother helps out, our sponsors help out big time.
Yep.
We were definitely understaffed last year. We found out some racers hopped in, helped us out. Like everyone just helped each other. It couldn't have gone any smoother for our first event.
That's great. And, it really does take a village to put one of these things on.
Yeah, we definitely underestimated it. So it's pretty much become a full-time job.
And what's wild is like it's only going to grow because, with that many returning people, you'll have people explain everything to new folks. And then, of the 160, let's say 80% of those come back. Now you've got 100 people the next year that have been before. So that is awesome. That's a really good feeling. Well, let's talk about the 2022 event. You guys are going to cover 1,700 kilometers, which for all of us down south means about a little more than 1,000 miles, right?
Yeah, about 1,100 miles.
Yeah,
so
man.
It's a little bit longer of a drive this year, and it's totally going to change it with the long drive on the last day. Like last year, we had like 130K drive on the last day. This year, we got a 500 kilometers, so about 350-mile drive.
Wow, that's a big day. So that's one of my questions is what's the longest drive day?
I think Saskatoon to Forsberg, I think, is the longest, but we kind of break it up with the stop at Hardesty in the middle. So
Nice.
you got about an hour drive in the morning and about a 5.5 hour drive the day before.
Wow, that'll be fun. That's that's a long trip, but hey, 350 kilometers isn't, I guess, or you said 500 kilometers, 350 miles. That makes for a long day. That'll be good, man. It's a good test of people's will.
Yeah, I think a lot of people learned a lot of stuff last year with it.
Oh, yeah.
That's for sure. Now, what are your roads like up there?
Hit or miss.
Hit or miss, yeah.
They got to be streetcars, so they are driving on construction roads, and this is farming season for us, so there's going to be farming equipment on the roads, and
Nice. Be dodging tractors and animals.
it makes for a good street drive, anyways.
Yeah, for sure. Well, what's the shortest drive day of the week?
Would be Forsberg to Rimby. We kind of send them out on a little bit of a tour, but nothing too crazy. It's under 200 miles, probably 150 miles.
Oh man, they won't know what to do themselves.
No.
Yeah.
But that's when they get to stop at the hotel and get to know everybody, and they really
The
kind of
crowd, they mingle together, really. So
Yeah. If the parking lot is not your most enjoyable part of this whole trip, I don't know what is. The hotel parking lots and just hanging out with your friends and all that kind of stuff. So, what is your favorite? Is it the racing or the driving?
the people, for me.
probably the mingling at the hotels
Yeah.
when we actually get to go and talk to everybody.
You mean the event staff don't generally get to stand around all day?
No. Even at the hotels, we don't have much time. We go do a lap and we're back in working. So
Yeah.
It's wild how fast time goes, right?
Mhm.
16-hour days go by fast.
That's exactly right. Well, what are you guys most excited about for the event? And then and we'll let you go.
the new crowd, the old
Yeah.
people, the old guys coming back, and the new crowd. So it's just the mixed cars. It's unreal. So
Yeah.
Yeah, y'all, I really appreciate you taking the time. I mean, what people don't know is we are in the middle of a Wednesday afternoon, and you guys are taking time to sit down with me, and I really appreciate that.
well, good. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
And then everybody, you can find all of the information you need at Miles of Mayhem, dnd.ca. I want to say thanks for watching all the way to the end. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't done that yet. The Drag and Drive News is a weekly episode, but we do post almost every day on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Thanks a bunch, guys. You have a great day. If you haven't done it yet, swing by the website, draganddrive.com, and pick up your Drag and Drive Addiction merch. Show your enthusiasm for your hobby at any local event.